Welcome back, listeners. HC Leadership Podcast here for another exciting episode and another guest. We're so excited to continue this series of having guests on. Kyle and I went for a while of just him and I just listening to each other's voices and talking back and forth. We love having guests on the show and talking all things leadership. And today, you guys are going to be really excited because our guest not only has experience in the fire service leadership aspect, but kind of all over the place too. Some sports stuff in there, some ministry stuff in there. And what we've found on our podcast and talking to everybody out there, their leadership is across all industries. And I love when we get guests that are not always just fire service leadership and share their experiences outside of the fire service and how it helps in the fire service and in every aspect of life, not just at work. So we're excited. Today we have Chief Matthew Caward with us, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself and your background and kind of the things you've been involved in, and then we'll just see where this goes.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on here. It's an honor to be with you. I met the two of you at the Teaks Leadership Symposium. I was so honored to be able to speak down there at that conference, and it's a phenomenal conference. Anybody who's ever been or have thought about going, they garner some great speakers, and to be offered to come and speak and share our story and what Red, Green, Blue Firehouse leadership is all about with people and organizations was a real treat for me. And so I'm honored to be here on the show with you guys. I love talking leadership, love talking organizational culture. Like you said, Carrie, this is the most important aspect to life, not just organizations and success in sports, in, any other industry. You've got to have culture, you've got to have leaders, and every person is a leader in some sense of the term and the word and what it means to be a leader. So I've been very, very blessed in my life to be a part of a lot of different things. Like you had mentioned, I got to serve in ministry full time as an associate pastor. I've got training and education in that industries. I have a master's degree in biblical theology. And then I've also done a lot of work in business. I've got a master's degree in business administration. I'm working on a doctoral degree right now in organizational leadership and education. And so my background has been in a lot of different things. And I've started in ministry when I was very young. When I went to college, I got to play football and baseball on scholarship in college. And I was pursuing a ministerial degree while I was going to school there. I met my wife the very first day of school while we were out there a couple of weeks before or a couple of months before the season started, getting ready for camp for the college. And so the first day of school, I met this beautiful young lady, and I ran right up to her and embarrassed myself. And we went to an event that night, and I didn't know at the time, but I sure fell in love right then and there. And we got married that summer. We had a child that fall, and I got to go into the military right after that. So after playing college football and baseball and starting a family very young, I knew I had to commit to serving my family and taking care of my family. So I joined the military, served in the Army stateside in Alabama for a few years, got an offer to get a commission as an officer in the military. So pursued that. Green to Gold scholarship with ROTC in Prescott, Arizona, which is where I grew up and went to high school. And so I pursued getting commission, then found the fire service, found my new passion, my new love, and I was invited by a dear friend of mine who I grew up with. I went to high school, played football with Jared Tarver, who was, his family has been in the fire service for a long time. All of his brothers are in the fire service with one exception. So, Jarrett invited me to a tryout for the Chino Valley Fire Department, and I went and pursued that opportunity and hit it out of the park and did well enough to get offered a job. And so I got hired on there. But most everybody on the podcast will know the Tarver family. Brett Tarver gave his life in Phoenix, Arizona, in his service to the community there. That is where, and that incident actually is where the modern day blue card system was born out of, that incident. And so my first experience into the fire service, I was hired 3 days before Brett lost his life at the supermarket fire. And so, my introduction to the fire service and sacrifice and what it means and the importance of leadership and culture and command came very early on. A few months later, 9/11 occurred. And so I experienced loss in several ways in my experience in the fire service. And so when I was working as a firefighter full-time in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was working for Bernalillo County Fire Department. I went to an open tryout for professional football. They had an arena franchise come to town in Rio Rancho. And so on my 35th birthday, on a Saturday, I went and tried out for the team and impressed the coaches enough and the general manager enough to offer me a contract. So I signed and went through camp with that organization 2 seasons in a row, and got to try my hand at professional sports, a dream of mine I've had since I was a young kid. So when I turned 35, I got to play some arena football, and that started a whole new passion and a new career opportunity. Played a couple seasons there, got to coach with a new coach that was hired, new organization, and he brought me on staff. I got to coach and be mentored by him. I learned a tremendous amount about leadership in professional sports because coaching garner some of the greatest leaders in the industry in the world today. And so through professional football, I got to meet some great leaders like John Harbaugh and his father Jack, and who have breathed a lot of life and insight into me and my skill set, my view of leadership and philosophy, and shaped that. And I used all of those experiences and those lessons and those mentors to help try to shape great teams in the fire service, to the point where we won 2 world championships with a franchise that we started in Albuquerque. And so the Duke City Gladiators won 2 world championships with that organization. And then we developed the Red, Green, Blue Firehouse Leadership Company out of those lessons and those concepts and that organizational culture that we built there. And then just recently, leaving the fire service, retiring full-time, and just focusing on RGB and speaking and teaching at conferences across the country. We had an arena franchise come to my new hometown in Grand Island, Nebraska. And so we agreed to take on that position as the general manager of that new organization. And we're helping them build this new franchise and develop our culture and use the things that we learned and the lessons we learned in our system to build out great culture in this organization. And we'll see if we can win at this level too. So that's where we're at.
Awesome. I have 2 things, but I'm sure Kyle has 100. But the first, I always want to say thank you for starting with your family. That's big for Kyle and I. When your whole introduction, and you talked about your wife and meeting her and your family and your faith and all that. So we love that. So thank you for that. And then
That's very kind of you to say. Let me just say, right. I'm a benefactor of my family, my wife. If we have time for it, if we get into it, it's relevant. My wife is my hero. She literally saved my life in a time that I went through a very difficult time in my life when I was running the Gladiators. I ran a construction company that was very big and busy, and I was working for the fire department full time. Just got promoted as a new officer, trying to raise 3 young ladies with my wife and trying to be a husband, going to school full time. There was a lot going on, and I was in a very dark place. But because of a praying wife who loves me dearly beyond what I deserve and should have, I got to see her pray me through some very difficult times where I almost gave up my life. I almost took my own life in a very harrowing situation and experience. I'm a benefactor. I get to have my girls to this day in a great relationship with my girls that I love very much. And my wife, we're going to celebrate 30 years of marriage this June because of her grit and tenacity and her care and grace for me. And so I've been very blessed by my family. And so I'm a benefactor of a great father, a great mother who instilled in me great work ethic and ethical morals and all of the things that are within me in service. My father served as a soldier in Vietnam with the Marine Corps, and they went on to have a commission in the United States Army and the National Guard. He oversaw a cavalry unit. And so he's got deep ties to the military. My grandfather served in World War II. So my family has a legacy of service, which is what was passed on to me, why I wanted to be a pastor full time and why I love to help customers and construction and building their dream homes. And then also, obviously in the fire service is a passion of mine to serve my community. So, and leadership goes right with that. I am so passionate about leadership and mindset and culture because that makes you a better servant to your members, your crews, your team, and to the community that you get to serve as. So thank you for calling that out. You're exactly right. It's a big part of who I am.
yeah. So talk to us about the system that you have put into place that you are using now. And that's what you spoke about at Teeks. And you're right, Teeks is near and dear to Kyle and I's heart. And we love
Yeah.
that we get to go there. It's amazing. But yeah, talk about that. What is that all about?
Certainly. So the system we built, this was developed in football at the high school level, and then it was applied at the collegiate level, and then at the professional level. And we honed and developed the system that was introduced with the Duke City Gladiators franchise in Albuquerque. The mindset is built around three colors. It's a very simple system. So when we have players come in, we would color code all of our players. We would color code all of our coaches. We would color code all of the staff, the people that you're around. And so the goal of this system is with a very simple process. You color code as a leader, you color code the personnel that are on your team. And there are three colors of people in life, three colors of athletes, three colors of firefighters, three colors of people in any organization. There's reds, there's greens, and there's blues. And the colors are dictative of what your attributes are. That we control three things in this life. You control your attitude, you control the effort that you put in, and you control the decisions that you make. And so based on your attitude, your effort, and the decisions you make, you are one of these three colors. A red is an individual who is negative. They cut corners. They don't take responsibility. They point the finger. Nothing's ever their fault because they're not responsible for anything. It's always somebody else's problem or somebody else's issue, somebody else's fault. They literally make messes everywhere they go because they're not responsible for anything. And if there is a mess, even if they made it, that's not my job. I'm not supposed to deal with that. That's somebody else's problem. And they're constantly looking for someone else to do something for them. They're a victim in everything because nothing's their fault. So these are the negative people you don't like to be around. They're not any fun. They badmouth other people. They have no problem spreading rumors, those types of things. That's a red individual. And I'm sure you can think of red individuals that are in your life. You know people that in your life that's the behavior they have. They're reds. We call those guys or gals a red. That's red behavior. A green is someone who is influential, one way or the other. Some days they're good, some days they're bad. You don't know what you're getting because they're influenced by the situation around them. When things are going bad, they're negative, they're complaining, they're bad. They immediately go red based on the situation. Their color is changed because they're influential one way or the other. They're inconsistent. So you put a green, someone who is not, it rides the fence, does what the group does, influential by everybody around them or the situation around them, they immediately become whatever that color is. So you put a green with some reds, they start acting red. But they're inconsistent. Some days they're good, some days they're not good. You never know what you're going to get. That's green. Do you know of any greens in your life, Kyle? Can you think of anybody in your life that's a green?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And we all do.
Right?
There's,
No,
you know them right now.
you know them right now, right? The
Yeah.
names go right in your head as you go. And I think it's interesting. You can, like, even when I look back at myself, like I could see when I was at certain places in my leadership journey, and growth of naive young person to growing through leadership, and how, even as you progress in leadership, like you might go through those. I know we still got one more color to go, but you go through those colors. Like I could look at a time where I was probably a red in my life and or a blue and or a green. We haven't gotten a blue yet. But
Kyle's colorblind.
yeah. See,
So
the
the attributes
mindset's
speak
there
to you.
totally,
You're right.
and
You don't have to
and
see
you
the
look back,
colors.
right,
Right.
and I could look back and see where, that I learned some hard lessons, and I can look back and, and I think that's important for, a lot of times we talk about too, like when we're looking at leadership, it's not so much, when you're telling us this stuff to go look and yeah, we can pick out the people in our lives and our circles and our organizations who are that. But what about you? Right? Look in that mirror. When were you there? Were you there? How did you overcome that? Who helped you overcome that? How did you grow? Because let's face it, like we just don't one day wake up a magnificent leader. You're going to go through trials and you're going to go through failures, massive failures. And it's important to reflect back on how we overcome those, I think, as leaders. And I think that's where the best leaders are met, to realize like, hey, I was a red. This was a time I was a red. I know why I was now when I was going through it. Like, no, like nobody could have convinced me that I was doing anything wrong. So yeah, it's very interesting. I actually love this, and I'm excited to hear what blue is.
Yeah, you're so far ahead of the game. You go right to this right away because it speaks right to your heart, and I love that. You said it all out. The blues, so the reds are the negatives, the greens are the influential, the blues are the blue chip, the elite. These are the people that buy in every day. They work hard, they come in early, they stay late, they give their very best effort, they hold themselves accountable, they're positive, they're optimistic, they not only teach and hold themselves accountable, they hold other people accountable because they're leaders. And so these are their attributes. They do their very best effort every single day. They're a true professional in every sense of the word. So they're positive, they're fun to be around, they're optimistic, they're pushing the team, they're influencing people, they're great leaders, holding everyone, including themselves, accountable. And you hit it on the head. This is where it's going. As coaches, we would color code our players so we knew who we're dealing with. Who were the reds, who were the greens, who were the blues? Because the point of leadership, it can be summed up in one word, and that is influence. Can you influence people to change colors? Can you get reds to buy in more, to at least be influential, be coachable? So whatever leadership technique, whatever methodology it is, can you apply those skill sets as a leader and influence people, to the reds, to be at least green? Because when they're green, they're influential. And if we can get them around enough blues, the blues will influence the greens because they're influential. So can we as leaders, we identify the color aspect, the attributes of the individual who are red so that we can get them to be green. Can we get the greens to buy in and be more consistent, be more disciplined, be more bought into the culture and the system to be blues more often, and get them to buy into that? And then the blues, just not to screw those guys and gals up, just to keep fanning the flame, keep them bought in, keep them doing what they need to do, feed them, remove obstacles so that they are locked in and doing great things. So, and then the ultimate level of this system, this mindset, the purpose of it is every one of us, you said it earlier, Kyle, you hit around the head. Every one of us remembers times in our lives where we acted red. This isn't just for us to project on other people. It's important as leaders to know who you're dealing with, and we would do that. How many reds you got? Okay, well, what are you doing to get them to buy in to be at least greens? How many greens do you have, and why are they not buying in and becoming blues? And where are your blues at? Keep feeding them and getting them going. But you can't lead other people unless you first lead who? You got to be able to lead yourself first. And so this system is powerful. And actually, we wear these bands on our wrists to remind us every day. These are reps. This is opportunity. This is messaging. This tells me every day I put this band on, I tug on this blue part of this band, and I say, what color am I going to be today? Because every day you encounter red, green, and blue situations in life. There's situations in life that are red, negative, fans screaming at you, penalties, people being dishonest with you, your boss is unhappy, an unhappy customer or an unruly customer, or nothing exposes your color like traffic. If you've ever driven in traffic before, that is the greatest exposure of what color you are, because somebody cuts you off, what color you immediately get red, start screaming at people and lose your mind when things are going negative or going wrong or going bad? Or do you have resiliency? Because the goal is to practice blue behavior over and over and over again so that it becomes your mindset, your default. And we call that resiliency. Can you build out blue resiliency so that when a red situation comes, you don't act like that situation? When a green situation is going on, middle of the road, nothing happening, you stay blue in it. Even in blue situations, when you're winning and everything's going well, coach, the former head coach of the 49ers, is famous for saying that he can't stand to win, and he hates winning because it gives people a false sense of that we've already accomplished it. We already know what we're doing. And so when we're winning, when things are going well, it's still important for us to be blue. How many people get taken out in their careers and their lives when things are seemingly going well and going great, and they're coloring it over because deep down inside their heart, they actually have red attributes or red behaviors. Bill Walsh was the coach that I was trying to think of, couldn't come to my mind, but he's famous for saying, I don't like winning. Coach, why are we working so hard? We're winning right now. We're the top team. No, you need to work every single day. You have to practice blue behavior every single day, because we can be any one of those colors any day of the week. And when red situations come, we have to practice blue behavior so that we are blue in those red situations. Now, we color code the people because we want to influence them as leaders, but this is reflective. This is reps for me. This is for me. Hey, I want to be a blue. I'm signaling to you from now on. Every time we talk, Kyle, I want you to say, hey, you're not being a blue right now, Matt. You need to be a blue. That's not blue behavior. That's red behavior. And you call it out very quickly, very simply. It's not complicated. Just say, hey, fellas, that's red behavior. What would a blue do in this situation? And I just ask myself, what would a blue, when things are going bad and going wrong, what would a blue do right now? They'd be tough. They'd be resilient. They'd find the positivity in it, because great leaders are the ones that can take negatives and turn them into positives. Great leaders are the ones that see not just a glass as half empty or half full. We've been taught our whole lives that that's the perspective of positivity or negativity. If you're optimistic, you see it as half empty, full. If you're pessimistic, you see it as half empty. But actual real leadership, great leaders don't see that glass as half full. They see it as refillable. Let me top you off. Let me put more in that. Let me give you more. What do I need to give you? You know, great waiters when at your table, when you're eating meals, are the ones that come around. Hey, can I top you off some coffee? Can I give you some more? Can I top off your drink? And so real optimism is, and the point of leadership is to transfer belief that no, we can do better. We can do great. We can do greater things together. Let's top each other off. Let's hold each other more accountable. Let's raise up the level of expectation, because our belief says that we don't have any limits. Our level of belief is that we're limitless, if you believe that mightily. So that's the point of the mindset, the three colors. And we know that you said it earlier, Kyle. I love it. You hit it on the head early. You saw this right away. I remember times in my life when I acted red. I know those times, and they almost
Hmm.
cost me my life. I remember
Yeah.
times I acted green. I didn't take a stand. I wasn't courageous. I just went with the flow. And I remember times where I was doing the right thing and I was resilient and I was being a blue. And so that's the point of the color system, is to reflect yourself. You got a mindset real simple. You just say it real quickly and easily. Hey, fellas, that's not what a blue does. That's red behavior. We don't do that way. And we want to be blue every single day. So there's the mindset aspect of it.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here like thinking, and our listeners and the people that we have that kind of follow, subscribe to us, and younger audiences. I think it's also important to talk about, and you hit it on as you introduce yourself, is the word grace. And the reason I say that is because as we sit here and talk to you, I mean, you have a wealth of experience, and no 25-year-old or 30-year-old in the fire service or any organization has that level of experience right now. So as you go through this game we call life, you are going to trip and fall. You are going to fail. You are going to be a red. There are going to be times when your emotions get the best of you, because it takes experience to learn from those, to not let your emotions get the best of you, to build a higher level of resilience. So as you grow in this leadership role, wherever it is in your life, or any aspect, know, like, as we sit here and talk about these things, it's like that awareness. Like, I would encourage everybody, just start to become aware of these, especially our younger audience, because I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to be a blue 100% of the time from this day forward, right? You are going to trip, you are going to fall, but that's where grace steps in. And as you grow and have strong mentors and people around you, like, that's how we pick ourselves up to continue moving forward. But it's not, okay, we learned this, now I'm going to be this. It's like, hey, you're going to trip and fall many times as you're learning this. And I think that's the thing when we look at leadership, how complex, how simple it is, and complex, how individual it is as well, and how everybody's growth is just so different. And when I sit, we've been talking to a lot of people, especially over the last few weeks, and when we sit and we talk to leaders who have a wealth of experience, have been around different types of organizations and cultures, the one thing that keeps coming up over and over and over again is what we like to call, and we spoke about, is that word radical self awareness, right? Like, there is just awareness of self that is so deep. And it's like this is the pinnacle of leadership. How aware are you of the mistakes you've made in the past, where you're at today, and how you continually make mistakes? Because that's going to be the thing that's going to continually make you better, to be able to constantly influence others.
And hold in the holding, the process of holding yourself accountable every day.
Yeah.
And you're right, grace is a big part of it. That's the secret weapon to any great leader is humility, and that comes from knowing that I've failed before and I've gotten better at it, because failure is not the end all. That's okay. It's okay to fail. The greatest, the most successful people in life, the greatest leaders are the ones that have failed the most, because the
Yeah.
greatest teacher in life is pain. It's
Hmm.
failure. And
Yep.
that's the greatest lesson that sports teaches. My mentor, Coach Bramante, taught me long ago. The greatest lesson that sports teaches you is how to overcome failure. Because if you allow failure to dictate your attitude or your effort for the next play, not getting to quarterback, and that failure affects you the next play, you're never going to be successful. You have to go after the next play with 100% tenacity and effort in order to get to the quarterback, because you fail all the time. The greatest hitters in the world, what do they fail? 70% of the time. The greatest
Yeah.
shooters in the NBA, they fail 60, 70% of the time. But they don't allow that failure to dictate what their attitude or their effort that they put in their behavior. And the self-awareness, I love that you caught onto that. You're articulating that, because that's what the RGB system is really about. It's the ultimate simplicity of self-awareness. And you can call yourself one of the three colors. You identify the
Yeah.
attributes of what that color is in just one simple term that a 5-year-old can learn. You could teach this to your kids, and it's powerful with kids. It's powerful in youth sports. We got great coaches that have coached with us at the pro level that are coaching high school level, and this works wonders with organizations, restaurants, wait staff, anybody that's a part of a team, because it's about self-awareness. That's the key to leadership, is you being aware of what you're acting like, your behavior, and growing from that. We call that growth. You called it grace, and that is a big part of it. It's all about trust. The
Hmm.
secret sauce to leadership is trust. Can you get people's trust? Will people trust you? And that's going to make you successful. And that happens to be rule number 5 of the 8 rules of our system. And that is trust the process, because trust is a process. Successful leadership is about trust. And there's 3 different levels to trust, or 4 different levels to trust. And we call, the 7 C's of gaining trust, of earning people's trust, developing trust. That's a whole process. But leadership and development and growth is all about trust and trusting the process. This takes time. It takes hot fire to
Yeah.
make the finest steel. It takes a process to develop you as a leader, going through failure, not allowing that failure, those things that we just talked about. That is all about the development, and that is a process. We don't win games on Saturday night in pro football because we played well that night. It's all of the weeks and the months and the many thousands of hours that led up to that game that determine whether you win when you're outperforming or not. It's all of the weeks and the effort and the planning and everything you put into it in your development for a game night that will determine whether you win. So the winning is a consequence of you trusting the process. And so we preach, part of our culture and our system, rule number 5 is trust the process. We're not going to see results right away. So trust the process over the results. Trust the color system. Trust the 8 rules. And that trust of that process is going to determine how successful you are in life, in leadership, in organization, in any of it.
So for our listeners to put this into practice, I just have a couple questions, because we have listeners in the school systems, we have faith-based organizations, nonprofits, private sector folks all over. So do you actually tell the people what color they are?
Absolutely. We have
Okay.
That's
our
awesome.
players, and there's fire departments that have brought us on to speak and teach. We put on a whole 8-hour conference where we go into deep detail of each of the 8 rules and the mindset process, what it means to build culture in the system, because a culture is what's going to sustain your organization and your members and your leaders and your team when life is up and down, when you're going through hardships, difficulties. Sometimes you're winning, sometimes you're losing. Your culture is going to sustain you through those difficulties, through those losing, because when you're winning, that covers a multitude of sins. That covers over all this. I mean, it stinks in here, but we're winning, so who cares? We don't really mind it. So when you're losing, that's when everything comes out. That's when all the things are exposed. Everybody gets critical of it, and they start complaining. And when you're winning, it's no big deal. You'll deal with it. But so yeah, we absolutely teach this. You call it out when you know when your members really buy into the system, when they're holding each other accountable to it, and they say, "Hey, man, we don't check our bags that way. That's red behavior. We don't complain about this stuff of doing chores. That's red behavior. We hold each other accountable." And that's why we wear the band, because we know we're potential to be any one of these, but we also signal others. This tells you, hey, Kyle, hold me accountable. What color am I being right now? And you hold me accountable and say, because I care about you, because ultimately leadership comes down to 3 words. The leadership philosophy of this system is summed up in the 3 words: I love you. Because I love you and I care about you, I want the best for you. I'm going to coach you. I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to say the things that you need to hear, not necessarily the things that you just want to hear, but I'm going to hold you accountable to it. And I'm going to tell you, Chief, that's red behavior. We don't complain like that. We don't do that. And so you hold each other accountable. If you do it in love with that language, and that's the motivating factor, is others, that you care deeply for everyone, that's going to garner the greatest amount of trust from anybody in an organization, no matter what it is. When your people, your team, your members, or the people you serve, your customers, believe you, that you absolutely love them, that you care about them at the deepest level, that's going to motivate and transform anything and anyone. That's the leadership philosophy, that those three words, and that's why we do everything that we do, comes from there.
And Kyle and I, you probably actually said it better than sometimes how Kyle and I say it, but 100%. And when we were at Teeks and had the opportunity to present the command chat, radical self-awareness, and we talked a lot about, and Kyle brought up grace as well in what you're saying. Also, when you're giving people that grace and they know you really care, then you can raise expectations and then you
Yes.
can get buy-in.
Right.
And then it just becomes this beautiful thing.
Right, because it's about relationships. Leadership's about
Yes.
relationships. And so the highest level, there's 4 different levels to trust. The most superficial level of trust is the trust that is just obligatory, like that you would get from rank. Because I'm the boss, I'll listen to you. But beyond that, I'm not gonna, I wouldn't trust you as far as I could throw you. I don't trust you at all. But because you're the boss, I guess I'll go ahead and do it. So that's the most superficial level of trust. The highest level, the next level of trust, is a trust that you earn or you develop by going through difficulties, going through the fire, by going out and training, by doing that we call that earned trust. The next level of trust is reciprocal trust. If you want trust, you got to do what? You got to give trust. So Jocko Willink in extreme ownership mindset would say decentralized command, that you give away trust, that I trust you, you go lead it, you're in charge, you do that. They're going to trust you back. That's reciprocal. That's the third level of trust. The next level of trust, the highest level of trust, because ultimately trust is given. We say, trust is earned. You have to earn trust. No, ultimately trust is given. And let me give you the perfect example to articulate this. If you've ever been in a relationship with someone and you've gotten out of a relationship before that the trust was ruined, and so that relationship was ruined, because every relationship is built on trust. When you don't have trust, it's over. And so if you've ever been in a relationship where the partner you were with did something to hurt or destroy your trust, when you get into a new relationship with someone, do you automatically take all of those faults and those problems from that old relationship, and do you assign it to the person in the new relationship? And if you were to do that, how long would that relationship last? If it's a girl that you're with and you were burned by a girl before, or you were hurt by someone, and then you get in a relationship with another girl, and you have said, "Oh, I don't trust you. I can't trust you because I was hurt in the past," you won't have a relationship very long. So when you get into this new relationship, whoever it is, you give trust. You have to put yourself out there. You take a risk and you trust them, even though you've been hurt before. So ultimately, trust is given. And we know that because it can be taken away. So if someone hurts you or burns you or does something dishonest, you take the trust away immediately. If it wasn't given, you couldn't take it back so quickly. So yeah, trust can be developed, it can be earned, it can be enhanced, it can be honored along the way as you build that out in relationship. So it becomes deeper and stronger. But ultimately, you have to decide, I'm going to give you my trust. And the sooner we can get to that, Stephen Covey wrote a phenomenal book on this concept called The Speed of Trust. The sooner we can get to a level where we can give trust, the more successful we are, the quicker we are, the more things we can do. If you trust your company officers, you don't have to be over there watching them, controlling them all the time. Your organization is going to be very quick. If you don't trust them and you've got to oversee everything and you've got to make all the decisions, it's going to slow down the process to a crawl and make you very slow and ineffective. So you have to decide. So ultimately, trust is something that's given. The highest level of trust is a trust that is just given. And it's given because you care deeply for the other person. And so you trust them. We call that the highest level. We call that love. And that's why the leadership philosophy is the 3 words. We do this ultimately because we love you. I love this organization. I love the service and I love this job. When we're dialed in and happy and doing our best, it's because we love the work that we do. We love the people that we're around. We love the job that we do, the customers that we get to serve. And that will put you on another level of excellence that you can't find anywhere else. When you lose that love, people don't get burned out by the job that they do. They get burned out because they forget why they do this job. We will go through the most difficulty up to the point of giving our own lives because we love this service. And how could you not love the men and women that serve in the fire service? You look at who they are, that they'd be willing to sacrifice their own lives for people they don't know, or for their teammates, or for their members, out of love. And so, and these are people these are fathers, these are mothers, these are people who have children. And for me to work around someone that would be willing to sacrifice the mother or the father of their children puts it in a completely different perspective to me, that this gentleman, my brother, would literally kill, put at risk the father of his children in order to serve me, or serve this community, or serve this calling. How could I not love someone that is willing to do something like that? And so, because I love them so deeply, because of what they are and who they are, and why I admire firemen so much, because of this is who they are, they get my best effort. I got to go train. I got to be a better leader. I got to buy into this culture. I got to be a blue every single day, and then I got to follow the 8 rules, because it's going to make me the best that I can possibly be every single day for those men and women that are willing to sacrifice that. Can you imagine anything more tragic in this life than your child having to grow up without a dad or a mom, and especially a mom or a dad that loves them? I can't. And so that motivates me to be great at this. That motivates me to give my best effort. That motivates me to, let's go out and train today. We're not going to spend time on a couch watching TV and wasting our moments together. No, we're going to take advantage of every single moment with our very best effort. Let's go push each other. Let's raise the level up. Let's go get better at this job and this profession. And let's hold each other accountable to be blues every single day. You hold me accountable to be a blue every day. That's how I'm going to grow and get better for the people that we get to serve, because of the 3 words, ultimately.
Can you imagine if we could teach this to kids, like teach this in schools, and you just grew up with this concept or this idea, and when you came into the workplace, you're like, yeah, I'm here. I'm already a blue. I'm working on staying there. And like, that
No,
would be
you're right.
amazing.
This is a language that is so easy, and the way it has such
Yeah.
success at the younger levels. You teach
Yeah.
this to kids.
Yeah.
I get firefighters they email me all the time. Hey, Matt, can you send me a dozen bands? Because my baseball team, they love this. I started teaching them the RGB. Absolutely. I send those out. But you're right. No, let's teach this, because it's mindset, right? That's the ultimate. But our players, our firefighters, when they come into the academy, they got mindsets of rookies. And what's the mindset of a rookie, Kyle?
Keep your mouth shut and, just keep grinding and
I'm going to do
go,
whatever you
right?
say, Cap. I'm
Yeah.
going to give my best effort. Like we start out blues. We'll do anything. You could tell a rookie, hey, I want you to run through that wall right over there. And they'll say, that wall right there? You want me to run through that wall, Cap? Yeah, I want you to run through that wall. You want me to run through that wall right there? I said, yeah, I want you to run through that wall. Okay, let's go do it. And they'll literally do they're in working hard. They come in early. They are fully bought. They're blues. And so almost every cadet starts out as a blue. So how do we have so many reds in the organization? It's because we don't have leaders that speak this language and are holding our members. This is all done. Culture is done by leadership. Culture is leadership sets the culture of the organization, and they hold each other accountable to that organization, leaders of all levels of the organization. And then the culture comes to life from the bottom up in every organization. We know that, but this is done by leadership. The key to all of this is leadership. And so the power of this system, like you said, Carrie, why I'm so passionate about it is because this system saved my life. Literally, this saved my life. I went through the most difficult time you could imagine. And I was in 2014, when we started the Gladiators organization, I was running a construction company that was very busy. We had lots and lots of employees. We were doing so much more work. My wife was running the business side of the administrative side of books and all those things, as small business owners do. It's a family business. I was going to school full time. I was working in the fire department full time. And then I was trying to run the Gladiators organization. And I was as thin can be. And I was doing and making decisions that were terrible for me. I was as red as you can imagine. I was selfish, treated my wife horribly, spoke to her like an employee, and not even a good, treated her poorly. I'm so embarrassed by how I treated her and how our relationship was, because of my behaviors, because I was a red. I was cutting corners. I was making compromises in my deeply held beliefs. I grew up in the church. I grew up in ministry. I grew up in knowing and understanding the truth, God's word, and living that out. And I had gotten so red, and one compromise led to another compromise, led to another compromise, to the point where I was addicted to pornography. I was stepping out on my wife. And, I had ruined everything. And I finally came to my wife and I told her, it's over. I don't want anything to do with you. I want a divorce. And I came to her not because I'm noble. I came to her because I thought that was going to be the last straw and she'd finally leave me and I would be able to go do whatever I wanted to do and live this life the way I wanted to do it, as selfish as I was as red could be. I was not buying into the culture. I knew the system, but I wasn't applying it to my life. And so it all culminated for me on a fire. My crew as a young officer we were running on a structure fire. We showed up late. We showed up the like third or fourth unit on scene. So a few minutes into the fire and we get assigned to the rooftop. And at the time our organization was doing rooftop ventilation. And so we were assigned to the rooftop to ventilate, to try to get at this fire that was now grown into the attic space. So this was a very dangerous situation because the fire was growing all around us. We couldn't get to it. We're last ditch effort. Let's try to get through it vertically. And so my crew was up working on the rooftop and we're trying to get through this, go through 3 different chains. So I was like, we're on our knees, doing this with axes at the very end. I get my crew off as we're about to make the final cut. I make the final cut myself and I get my crew off the roof and then I pop the hole and then the fire ignites and now I'm stuck at this hole and I'm in the lowest of lows in my life. I'm as red could be. And now I'm stuck at this hole and I'm convincing myself of all the reasons why I should just jump into this hole and take my life and be done with it. And I won't have to be accountable to my behavior. I don't have to be accountable to my wife. Don't have to be embarrass my kids about everything that's coming out about all of the selfishness that I'm doing. And so I'm stuck. I can't move. I'm convincing myself why I should just jump in and that will take everything. And finally, I come back to coherency. A buddy of mine is on the rooftop. He's screaming at me to get off the roof. And so I come down and for the next couple of months, I'm going through this process. I couldn't kill myself there. How am I going to do this and end my life without making a mess and leaving a mess and can go out quietly without anybody knowing about my many failures and utter failures at the highest level. And it, I said before, my wife is my hero, and it's because of this. Because every day I watched her pray for me, pray for her husband that didn't deserve it, and apologize, still fresh for me, but she prayed for me, and I watched her do that, and it literally changed my heart and my mind. And so then I started going back to my culture, what I knew, the truth that I knew in God's word, that he did forgive me because he paid for all that, even though I didn't deserve it. And the blue being a blue and what I was being a red. And so I became aware. I realized that, no, this was red behavior. What color am I? I need to be a blue. So I need to practice blue behavior. And so we went to counseling. I went to counseling, and through that process of watching her pray and not give up on us and her devotion and her grit, her tenacity, she's an amazing woman that I don't deserve. That through that process, I came back. I was redeemed. And now because of that, because of her, because of the system, because of this color system and the culture, I started buying in. Because this won't change you. This won't change your organization, won't change anything if you don't buy it. Just knowing it's not enough. You got to practice this every day. That's how you build resiliency. You got to be a blue every single day in the difficult times. Trust the process. This takes time. You got to go through this fire. Don't give up. Trust the process. Buy in more. Leaders will dip their toe into this culture. Oh, this sounds good. That sounds good. I'll teach it a little bit. That's not enough. You can't go into your knees. You can't even go into your waist, and going into your chest is not going to help you in the water. You got to go all the way in. You got to submerge yourself into this. Apply the concepts, apply the mindset every single day. That's what's going to transform you, because that's what's going to build resiliency. It's what's going to hold you accountable every single day. So yeah, it's coming across. I'm passionate about this because it literally changed. I know this works. I've seen it build organizations. I've seen it transform me in my own life and my family. And now I get to enjoy my wife and I's 30th wedding anniversary. because of this system, because of this culture, because of her, because of my faith and the grace I was given and the forgiveness I was given. And I get to live an amazing life now with my daughters, with my girls. They all get to have their dad who is their father and a leader in their home and an encourager and someone who holds them accountable and pushes them and can tell them that failure is not define you. Your mistakes don't define you. What you do today, what you do every day from this day forward is what's going to define you and determine whether you have success in this life or not. And this is just a system. I'm not saying this is the only thing. There's lots of great stuff out there. I'm a big believer in Jocko and all the different things that are out there in the leadership, which is what I love what you guys do. That I love talking leadership, love talking culture because it's about growth. And that's what rule number 6 is. Rule number 5, trust the process. Rule number 6, get better every day. Have a growth mindset where you're constantly trying to grow 1% better today than we were yesterday, 1% better tomorrow than we are today. And how do you get 1% better? If you put in 60% effort, will you get 1% better? No. If you put in 80% effort, will you get better? If you put in 98% effort, will you get better? No, you still got more to give. You have to put in 100% effort just to get 1% better. And so by being your best every single day, giving your best, being a blue, holding yourself accountable every single day, that's how you get better every single day. That's rule number 6. So no, I appreciate the opportunity to share this. I believe it because I lived it. It transformed me. It saved me. Most of the credit needs to go to my wife, of course. I love her dearly, but this is the system. This is the process. This is a culture. That's why I teach it and live it and speak it and share it every day. I believe knowledge is a gift, but it's only a gift if you do what with it, Kyle? What do you got to do with knowledge in order for it to be a gift?
You got to apply it, right? And share it.
You got to give it away. You got to apply it. You got to share it. You're exactly right. Well said.
Yeah, there was so much there, and thanks for sharing that story specifically, with your wife and stuff, and just the power of. It's really interesting, and I think as Carrie and I continue down this, and we literally just get on and have conversations because a lot of your presentations or our presentations, like we're not able to go to the depths that we want to sometimes, and just sometimes having a conversation, it sparks different things in our minds and able to just have real conversations about real stuff. And it's like sometimes in our world, we have put up these like blockades to not talk about the realness of life anymore. Like we not just sweep it under the rug or rub sand on it, just like, hey, we just like resilience was defined as, well, we just have to move on. Like the bad stuff happen and move on. And it's like, no, we can have discussions about this and talk about this, and we as individuals can learn from it. But I can also teach others from my experiences. And there's so much value there, and I don't know where we've lost it. And it's not just in the fire service, it's everywhere. It's like we just have this facade about us that everything is okay. And maybe it's social media where everything on social media is great, or it's keeping up with the Joneses. And it's like, BS, everybody. We all have struggles. We have all struggled at some time. And sometimes all it is like real conversations like this where we can, because as you're sitting there talking, I was like, man, I could relate right to you when I was a full-time student, working 2 full-time jobs, owned a business, just had kids, and like I was absent, right? And like, I'm like, there's so many similarities and there's so many other people, but a lot of times we just want to just bury it and drive on and define that as resilience and toughness. And it's like, well, no, because that's going to just destroy you over time. We know that now, right? Through our experiences, but it's just nice to have like these real conversations because there's just so much just based on this, what people can take away and learn from, and it's just amazing. It's amazing when true human connection happens, what can happen and how far that in and of itself can go. Sometimes over life, we have just overcomplicated every single process out there. And we could take it all back to just having a real honest conversation about life, and what can grow just from that is just amazing.
And
So
that
I
all of us can
appreciate the
overcome.
conversation.
No, that's well said, Kyle. Appreciate you sharing that. You're right. We've all been through difficulties. Life's it's not black and white like we'd love for it
No.
to be. It's
Right.
very gray. There's a lot of problems and issues in there. We've all been through that. To be able to be around a real leader is going to share They're hard because it comes down to the three words. And firefighters and people, kids, we all know what a fake is. We've seen it
Yeah.
before. You're not going to bull crap us. We know, we see right through you. We know you're not perfect. Now the goal is to achieve perfection, or we're chasing excellence is really what we're chasing perfection. And while we're chasing perfection, hopefully we catch excellence along the way through this journey. But that's a process. So trust
Mhm.
the process. Yes, you're going to fail. I failed at the ultimate level. Like I almost gave up everything. And so, yeah, but it doesn't define you, it doesn't have to define you. So you can do better, you can get better. But if we don't talk about it, like you said, Kyle, if we don't teach it and hold each other accountable to it, and that'll be at the deepest level if you love the people that you're working with, if you love the job that you're doing. And if that comes out, that's why that's the philosophy. It comes down to those three words. That's the ultimate thing that you have to buy into that it's because of others that we do this, and then we grow and teach, and we give away, we go and learn and develop ourselves, and we have that growth mindset. So that's really good, Kyle. Appreciate that.
So, if our listeners want to know more about your system, because there's other steps that we didn't get to hear yet. So,
Sure.
where can they find more information?
Well, they can find more at our website. It's rgbfirehouseleadership.com. So rgbfirehouseleadership.com. And, you can find stuff on my LinkedIn page. We teach these conferences all over the country. So there's videos on there. We're doing free 1 hour monthly leadership lessons where we talk about each of the rules and go through that once a month with officers we did for free. So those videos are on the website. You can watch some of those and learn more about the system and stuff. But I love coming and teaching it. It's for transformative. Every organization I've been blessed to go and speak to and deliver the message to has said great things about the system, what it has done for them individually and for their organization and their team. We print the rules on posters that we send out. You put it up. We did this to a roofing company and taught. I say we did this. We infected this roofing company with our system, and it's literally an infection. Like it grew in the whole organization, and it's transformative. And so they bought into it wholeheartedly. They teach their new employees that come in. Here's the 8 rules. Here's the mindset. This is what a blue does when he comes into work. Because rule number 4 is be a pro, be a professional. And as a professional, you have a brand. How you come into work, how you act, the things you say, how you dress, how you conduct yourself, who you're around, who you associate your brand with says a lot about who your brand or what you think of your brand. How you talk about others is a reflection of yourself and your character because those words come out of your mouth. That's your brand. When you badmouth others, your brand is on display, not that other person that you're bad mouthing. So you as a professional, you have a brand. And so have a brand that is the highest level, that is worth co-branding with. Because when you join a team like the Nebraska Siege pro football team, they're co-branding themselves, the Matt Caward brand with the Nebraska Siege brand. Or when you work for a fire department, you're co-branding your brand because you wear 2 names on your uniform. You wear the department's name and you wear your family's name, your heritage name. With what you guys build in your podcast, your brand is on display with the questions you ask, how you treat your guests, with the things that you talk about. This is your brand. And so have a brand that's the highest level. So be a professional. So rule number 1, always protect the team. Rule number 2, no whining, no complaining, no excuses. Rule number 3, the 3 B's, be ready, be early, be disciplined. Rule number 4, be a pro. Rule number 5, trust the process. This takes time. Rule number 6, get better every day. Rule number 7, the power of belief. Pygmalion philosophy says, let's raise up our expectations, that our belief is not going to be a limiting factor, because based on your level of belief, you're either going to put limits on your life or you're going to make your life limitless. And I believe God called us to live extraordinary, supernatural lives because we get how many chances at this life, Kyle? You get one chance
One.
at this life.
Yeah.
So why not live an extraordinary, supernatural life so that the only person that gets credit for it is the one that made it possible? And
Amen.
so that's what we're after. Rule number 8, what color are you? You got to choose every day. Are you a red? Are you a green or a blue? What color is your team? Is it a red, a green, or a blue team? What color is your organization, your fire department? Are you red, green, and blue? And when you're talking to fire departments, red, green, blue should speak to another level, because according to the NFPA, what's the worst fire hydrant, worst flowing fire hydrant, color coded? It's red. What's the middle fire hydrant, the middle flow capacity of a hydrant? those are the green ones. And the best flowing fire hydrants out there, the ones when we pull up to a structure fire, we want to see a blue hydrant sitting out front. We want to be surrounded by blue firefighters, and you want to be a blue leader in your level of leadership. And so that's what the power of the mindset is, and the color system. Very simple to articulate and buy into. And with the 8 rules, real simple to do. And so that's what we teach, and that's what we share with everybody that we come across. So now I'm going to hold you guys accountable. Kyle, what color are you going to be today, Kyle? Carrie, what color are you going to be today?
All I got to say is let's go.
Let's do it.
Right? Like, I'm ready.
Let's
it's
do
amazing.
it. I love it. And then one of the things that I stole from, you meet coaches, you find out coaches are the biggest thieves on the planet. They'll steal anything from anybody to make their team better. And that's what this is. Why we want to give it away. You steal these concepts, you make it your own. But one of the things I stole from Coach Harbaugh was the Harbaugh mantra, which is rule number 2, no whining, no complaining, excuses. That's all about having an attitude of gratitude. And when you center your attitude as one of gratitude, that you're thankful to be in this job, because who's got it better than firemen? Nobody's got it better than us. We get to do this job. We get to do the greatest job in the world. Man, nobody's got it better than us. And so what our mantra with RGB, it's the Harbaugh brand, and that is, who's got it better than us? Nobody.
There's no words. It's so good. It's so good. I just, all the parts and pieces, that's near and dear to Kyle and I's heart. Like high expectations, hard work, lots of grace, lots of love, all those things.
That's what you guys are living every day. You're blues and you didn't even know it. Now you can articulate it while you're going out there and you're speaking to people. That's blue behavior. We're going to be a blue every day. Who's got it better than us? Nobody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. We greatly appreciate your vulnerability, first and foremost, and your time, and sharing everything and passing all the information on to everybody.
It's an honor to be here with you guys. Keep doing great things. Love your guys' podcast. And thank you for allowing me to come share my heart and our system with fire service. You want to start a revolution in the fire department? This is how you do it. Red, green, blue mindset, and then the 8 rules. You're going to change everybody, yourself, starting with yourself, and then everybody around you. And you're going to live the greatest life possible. So thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Carrie. Honored to be with you guys. Great to see you on camera, and I can't wait to see you again soon.
Thank you. Listeners, awesome. Subscribe and shoot us some comments, and show our guests some love in the comments on all the socials.
Yeah, and we'll give one more let's go right now.
Yes,
let's get after it. Until next time, we'll see you.
All right. Appreciate you guys.